This is a lecture on 11-2, the test for homogeneity of proportion. I do have an example that's in the book. It is example 11-7. A psychologist randomly selected 100 people from each of the four income groups and asked them that they were very happy. So this is a yes or no question, although it does not have to be a yes or no question. For the people who made less than $30,000, 24% responded yes. For people who made $30,000, 30,000 to about 75,000, 33 responded yes. For people who made 75 to about 100, 38, and anybody higher than 100, 49 responded yes. At alpha 0.05, tester claimed that there's no difference in the proportion of people in each group who were very happy. So I'd like to outline the word proportion. This is how you know that you're doing a test for homogeneity over proportion rather than the test for independence. The test for independence will talk about numbers. The test of homogeneity of proportion will talk about some kind of a percentile that is presented to you within the problem. Now, in reality, as far as your calculator is concerned, you're actually going to be running the same test. So you can't use those percentiles. You actually have to find numbers. Now what they did is they gave you really easy numbers for this particular example. The ones that you see in the homework probably are not going to be as easy as these ones. So if we randomly select 100 people from each category, we have 4 categories. If we know that in the first category 24% responded yes, we do have 24 versus 76 who said no. So because it's a yes or no question, I don't need to give you all of the percentiles. I can just give you some of them. In the next category, it's 33%. So it's really easy to calculate. You just take 0.33 times 100. So the numbers are easier to come out if you ask 100 people in each category. The next is 38%. So that translates into 38 people versus 62 people. And this one is 49 versus 51. With the homogeneity of a proportion, you do get a slightly more even spread. If you want, you can actually calculate some of the totals. This does add up to 144 versus 256 for the total of 400. So this is your grand total. And it does look like we're leaning towards a no rather than a yes. But the null hypothesis and the alternative hypothesis for the test of homogeneity of a proportion will always be the same. Now, because you're talking about 4 categories, the less than 30,000 income, between 30 and 75, between 75 and 100, and over 100. We do have 4 proportions that we're interested in. So we're going to say P1 is equal to P2 is equal to P3 is equal to P4, because we are looking at all of the proportions to be the same. That's what the word homogeneity means, sameness. Now the alternative hypothesis, so the complement of all of them being the same, you say at least one is different. At least one proportion is different. All right. The degree of freedom of this test is very similar to any other ones of the chi-square, or it is the same as the test of independence. You're going to take row total. So in this case, I have 2 rows. a 2 minus 1. And we have 4 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, as far as the categories, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have 4 minus 1. That gives you 1 times 3. The degree of freedom is 3. Okay. On the next video, I will guide this through the calculator. But according to the book, we did find the chi-square test statistic to be 14.15. I can use my calculator to find the p-value. And the p-value is found at 0.0027, so under a percent. I have a feeling that that's a very small p-value. Alpha is given to me at 0.05, so it is smaller than the alpha presented in the problem. So what we can do is we can reject the null hypothesis. With the alternative hypothesis saying at least one proportion is different. There is enough evidence to reject the claim that there is no difference in the proportions. Hence, the income seems to make a difference in proportions. So you do want to find a way to include the fact that we are comparing happiness to money. Do money make people happy? And the answer, according to this test, is yes. Reject the null hypothesis. At least one proportion is different. The answer to the question of very happy does depend on income. On my next video, I will show you how to do this on a calculator.